Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to yet another edition of the dceu Daily. Remember, you can tag me and follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad, and today we have lots to talk about. So, Henry Cavill, has he got a future as Superman? What an absolute mess. It looks like I'm talking about this subject on a weekly basis. Now, this week he was on Instagram teasing some script. I know what a lot of people were thinking and hoping for, as I was. Is this the next Superman movie or cameo? And it looks like it's some kind of computer game adaptation. Boring. Well, boring for you and me, but not boring for Henry, because he's a right geek and he'll be very excited about this. And I congratulate him for getting the gig, whatever it is. I personally think it was game over for Henry as Superman from the outside looking in. From the moment that he and the Mission Impossible Fallout director come up with a pitch for a Superman movie, and Warner Brothers Pictures said no. It looks like Henry's on the outside now. There seems to be nothing, no news, not many rumours. A while back, months ago, we heard that he would cameo in many DCEU projects, and that was kind of rubbish, wasn't it? That was kind of trashed. There doesn't seem to be much going on. Then a few weeks ago, there was this rumour that he would cameo in Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods. And David F. Sandberg, director of that movie, said he didn't want to, put bad luck on that. He didn't know if scheduling would allow that. So I don't know anymore. I don't know. But as I say, from the outside looking in, it looks like from the moment that, that pitch that he and the Mission Impossible Fallout director, pitched to WB, it seems that, it isn't happening, is it? I don't think centrally. Look, this is what I know. I know that Tyler Hoechlin has a massive future as Clark Kent, Kal-El, and Superman. It's obvious. The response to the pilot of Superman and Lois is massive. We'll be talking more about that show a little bit later on today's DCEU Daily. And then we know that J.J. Abrams will write and direct his own Superman movie. I believe that's an Earth 2 Superman. So that it's all connected, because we're talking about the multiverse strategy now. So everything in live action is kind of connected. So where does this leave Henry's Superman? Look, the only thing we can hope for now is that after Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut is released, that people, watch that so much and he makes so much money that the Snyderverse is restored and Henry can have a role over with Zack over on HBO Max. I can't see anything else. I don't see him having a future centrally. You would think that he would be involved in Flashpoint, but nothing's been said, right? All we know right now is officially that Ben Affleck's Batman and Michael Keaton's Batman are involved. There's rumours of, what's his name? The Superman Returns Superman. The guy from Legends of Tomorrow, Brandon Routh, that's it. I'm crap with names, even if I know their movies and their projects, and I've watched Superman Returns so many times. Brandon is a great Superman and Clark Kent, by the way. As I say, from the inside looking in, it doesn't look very good. And I mean, you've got to consider what happened to Henry here. It was a very promising start with Man of Steel and BVS, and then he shot his Superman scenes with Zack Snyder for his Justice League. Then he did the reshoots with the whole CGI mess, and they totally destroyed the man. When you do that to someone's upper lip, when you do that to someone's image, it's despicable, isn't it? And I mean, Henry's done really well rebuilding his career with The Witcher and other stuff, even rumoured to be the next Bond. He's one of the bookie's favourites. I would absolutely love that. So his career is doing well, but his future as Superman is odd. He doesn't really talk about Superman. He talks about all his projects. He's very secretive about Superman, but he did go to a comic book store the other day and he did pick up some DC comics. That's interesting. And so that would kind of lend hopefully that he's got some kind of role here. But what I find a bit disrespectful to the fans, and I understand that Henry's got to keep quiet, and even kind of his representatives can't do too much. I mean, they're excited about his role in Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, as we all are. But as for the future, I just don't know anymore. And it's very sad because you and all of you watching this video right now will be thinking, you know, he's a great Superman. He's a great royally Shakespearean trained actor in the UK. There's nothing wrong with this guy's Superman, but he's been tarnished because his Superman apparently was too dark or this, that or the other. But his performance, is, you know, in Man of Steel, I think he gave a mixture of this dark, brooding Superman, but there was an inspirational quality to his Superman as well, because we've got to remember, it wasn't just Zack Snyder who was, you know, doing that film. It was also David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan's story, with David writing the screenplay as well. So it was a world of free creatives, really, and I think they matched together really well. And then BVS was the one that really polarized the audience, and some people loved it, some people hated it. And then they did what they did to Henry with Justice League. And this is the industry, unfortunately. It can be very cruel and unfair at times, where you see Ben Affleck's back, but it's, you know, we know that online, you know, Batfleck is very, very popular, and maybe more popular than Henry Cavill's Superman, which is astonishing to me. I think they both should be popular. But maybe the voices for Cavill's Superman to continue Cavill as Superman haven't been as loud. They've been loud. There's been movements. There's been events. There's no question about that. There's no denying of that. But I don't think it's been as loud as the fight to bring Batfleck back. And we've got Batfleck back for now, at least in this, which more than a cameo, he's got a big role in Andrew Machiete's Flashpoint. So he's there. That's very exciting. Now, whether Henry is in Flashpoint, we don't know. I would, you know, looking at it logically, and, you know, never use logic and the entertainment industry in the same sentence. But if you're talking about logic, you would imagine that everyone from the DCEU is going to have some kind of cameo and some kind of role to play, let alone the people who are not involved in the DCEU, like Brandon Routh. You know, Grant Gustin, I expect him to play a big role. You know, the Cyborg from Doom Patrol, I expect him to play a little role in Flashpoint as well. So I think everyone is going to be on this Flashpoint stage because it's that type of movie. And it's kind of like what they did with Crisis on Infinite Earths, but they're doing it with a Flashpoint movie. You have to look at Flashpoint as the origin story for the DCEU going forward. Although Man of Steel is the first film, and when Zack was running things, that was his origin, that was his jumping off point, things are very different now. Things will change for the future of the DCEU. Now, we've also discussed before, if Zack is successful with restoring the Snyderverse, then there's a lot of interesting things to come with his Joker, Jared Leto, hopefully with his Superman, you know, with his Deathstroke as well. There's lots of things that can be done, and with a Batfleck miniseries or movie as well. And there's lots of things that can be done, but Zack's already said, and we've mentioned this on Big Mouth and the DCEU Daily before, that there's this kind of thing from Zack saying, don't expect anything straight away, even if we are successful. And I think that's especially because he's mentioned that he is busy. The Army of the Dead trailer did drop, a little teaser trailer, a minute trailer. It was awesome. Zack did do an exclusive interview with Grace Randolph where he said very, very soon the full trailer will drop. Excited to see that as well. But yeah, so it's all happening for Zack. 2021 is the year of Zack Snyder. But in terms of Henry Cavill, he hasn't been dealt with in a nice or fair way. And none of it is his fault. Now, I think that Henry's been very, very passionate and said, listen, I won't do this and I won't do that. I believe there's you know, as far as Henry's concerned, he believes that kind of the Codex story needs to be continued and wrapped up, and there's a good story to tell there. He likes Man of Steel, and he wanted his next movie to be he wanted Man of Steel to be that jumping off point. I think he kind of is more positive with how his Superman was portrayed in Man of Steel rather than BVS, and that's his right, that's his opinion. I don't think he dislikes BVS, and he hasn't got an issue with Zack Snyder or his vision. I just think, as a Superman fan, who Henry obviously is, he probably thinks that Man of Steel kind of walked the tightrope better of kind of the grim and the light, if you like. And I think that's true. Even Man of Steel finishing in a very positive way with, Henry's Clark being introduced to the Daily Planet staff and having a little bit of a joke with Lois at the end there. So it was a bit lighter at the end of the film. So you leave that film, and then all of a sudden you're in Batman versus Superman, where Henry's Superman is a lot more somber out of nowhere, because obviously several months have passed and Batman's turned up. Batman's kind of doing his thing, and Henry's Clark Kent doesn't approve of that. And so, listen, it's a bitter blow if he's not involved anymore. It's not looking good because he keeps on getting other projects. And this is why I wanted to talk about it with what happened this week with that kind of mysterious script he was showing off about. It's sad. It's not where Henry wants to be. He wants to be playing Superman. He wants to be making multiple movies and multiple cameo appearances. But this is where we are. We don't know if he's I don't even know if he's in a particularly good place with WB Pictures or Warner Media. It's a bit of a mystery. And right now, the way things are, and the more you don't tell the consumer what's going on, the more we see videos like mine. Has he got a future? That's the question I'm asking here today, because I simply do not know anymore. I think after Justice League, I was like, nah, he's finished. He's fucked. After you do that to a version of an iconic superhero, that version of that iconic superhero can't show his face again. It was that bad, cringy, and embarrassing. And I actually felt the same way about Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Batman. I just thought, when you get to that point when Superman turns up to beat up Steppenwolf and Batman's like, there's no place to maneuver there. But luckily, Ben seems to have, is willing to come back and do Flashpoint, and who knows what else as Batman. And he's not exactly saying he's not willing to do it. He's certainly not mentioning Batman very much in interviews. I think he's steering clear. I think everyone's just holding their breath to see how well Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut will do. So, has Henry's Superman got a future? We hope. There's an inch of hope there, but not much, because we're not being told anything. But if we're being fair, we're not being told about Superman's future within the DCEU anyway. But I do think there will be this J.J. Abrams written and directed movie. I think it will be Earth 2 in the same Earth as Matt Reeves' Batman. I think this is the Earth they're developing. Now, how they change Snyder's verse, Earth 1 basically, in Flashpoint is going to be very, very interesting, and it could be very polarizing as well. But they're going to make significant changes to make it more accessible to the mainstream audience. There's no question about that. And where that leaves Henry Cavill, I just can't tell you. So let's talk Superman and Lois. This is an article by Donna Chromians from Screen Rant. Superman and Lois explains why Clark Kent looks so young. It will be hard for youthful Clark Kent to blend in with aging former classmates in Superman and Lois now that he's moved his family back to Smallville. Superman and Lois, Clark Kent hasn't aged, explaining his unique challenges and proving the adage "you can't go home again" may prove especially true for him. While he feels moving back to his hometown may help him repair bonds with his sons, he may face other issues he hasn't considered yet. At his mother's funeral, Clark reunites with former classmate girlfriend Lana Lang Cushing, who remarks that Clark never seems to age and looks almost the same as he did when they were in high school. Clark brushes off the remark as having good genes, but now that he's moved his family back to Smallville on Superman and Lois, he's going to have to get more creative in his responses. Of all the differences between human and Kryptonian physiology, the one least often explored in both the comics and the Arrowverse is that Kryptonians age at much a slower rate under the yellow sun. That's a fact that Superman explains to a befuddled Win Scott shot in Season 2, Episode 1 of Supergirl, The Adventures of Supergirl. By Arrowverse standards, Clark Kent should be in his 40s on Superman and Lois, yet due to his good Kryptonian genes, he looks to be in his early 30s. The fact could cause problems as the Kents moved to Smallville, meaning Clark needed a ready response to the prying questions of his old classmates and neighbours. It took just moments for Lana to notice that her old friend didn't look any older. While Clark could have brushed things off with a joke, he attributed his youthful appearance to his genes. Lara and other Smallville residents are already reminiscing about Clark and his family's extraordinary luck during his time growing up there, which included Clark, Lana, and their friend Pete, likely Pete Ross, Clark Kent's best high school friend from the comics, not being injured in a serious car accident, so Clark's quick thinking to downplay his ageless looks was smart. Do you know what? I get that a lot. Oh, Mick, you don't age, man. What's wrong with you? You just don't age. And I just laugh. You may think I do look my age, but a lot of people say I don't because I'm so cool and elite. But yeah, it's not really an abnormal thing. It's something that people get in life. So yeah, not sure where she's going with this. The good genes excuse will work only so far when former friends and classmates notice that Clark seems to be aging slower than his wife. Added to that is the fact that at least one, if not both of his sons seem to have inherited his lucky streak about not getting hurt. After both boys survive a barn accident with just minor concussions with Jordan's powers manifesting now, Clark will undoubtedly explain to him that there are other issues he will face by having Kryptonian genes, possibly including the danger of kryptonite itself. Both Jordan and Jonathan are half Kryptonian, which regardless of powers could affect their physiology or aging. It will be a somber discovery for the boys that there is the possibility that one of them will age slower and likely outlive the other. Superman and Lois, Jonathan has been portrayed as being the protector, trying to smooth Jordan's edges and help him with his anxiety. Now he may wonder if his brother will still need him now that he has superpowers and a likely longer lifespan. Yeah, actually, I do know where she's going with this article. Pretty cool. While moving to Smallville suggests a simpler life for the Kents, a small town presents plenty of challenges. It is much easier to blend in and conceal unusual physical traits in a large city, good point, like Metropolis, than it is in a small community like Smallville. It may not have occurred to Clark yet, but that may be one of the subconscious reasons he never returned to Smallville. Like others, he knew coming back meant constantly deflecting probing questions from well-intentioned neighbours. With just a brief throwaway line about aging from Lana, the door opened to bigger problems facing the Kent family on their return to Smallville on Superman and Lois. How many more seemingly innocent comments reveal potential problems that foreshadow the Kent family's future? Maybe Clark can go home again, but it will be much harder to navigate that homecoming than he thinks. Yes, they're right, and I think this is very interesting. I think what Todd Todd Helbing, I think. What Todd's really doing here, it's clear he's really inspired by the television show Smallville. And I want to talk about that a little bit because you've got Jordan and Sarah and that blooming romance and relationship. That's pretty much echoing Clark and Lana from Smallville and the problems they're going to have. We know that Sarah tried to kill herself taking too many tablets. They have this mental health, anxiety and depression situation in common. Now, in terms of comparing it to Smallville, in the Smallville pilot, we met Lex Luthor. Clark saves Lex Luthor. And that was the kind of arc that went through the first 7 seasons. Should I have saved him? Look at what he's becoming. If I didn't save him, it will be the same thing as someone saying if I didn't save Adolf Hitler, the world wouldn't be in the situation it was back in the Second World War. Right? So there was always that. So if he's going along the same lines as Smallville, it's possible that Jonathan and Jordan are actually Clark and Lex in this version of the TV show. So let's look at what Todd tried to do with this pilot. Normally in a pilot, it displays the themes and the foreshadowing of narratively what we're going to see in the future of the show. So in the beginning of the show, Clark's narration talks about Jordan being short-tempered, being diagnosed with mental illness, and things like that. So you would think that's where they're going with it. So you would think that this guy could become a villain. He could be the Anakin Skywalker. you know, as I've already said, with Sarah being this Padme character, that could be the way they're doing it. But Todd may be trying to twist it another way. What if Jonathan is the Lex kind of character in this show, where slowly but surely he becomes very envious and bitter and jealous towards his brother Jordan, and he tries to find a way to gain power. And maybe he kind of unites with the stranger, Captain Luther, and maybe this is what happens within, not in season 1 maybe, because it'll be a slow kind of process, but maybe that's what they're going to have, what's going to happen. I think this is what they're trying to do. I think there will be a divide, and kind of maybe in the future, Jordan and Jonathan will be enemies. But which one? Which one is going down the pure path, and which one's going down the dark path? This is something we don't know. Now, if you look at the pilot, as I say, it kind of, you would say to me, well, Mick, it's obvious that Jordan's going to go down the dark path. Look what happened with the heat vision. And I understand that, but maybe that's a little bit predictable and obvious. Maybe it's Jonathan who's the villain of the story. So it's very, very interesting, because you've also got this, but when you go back to Clark in the pilot, he really is upset that he can't connect with Jordan. He can connect with Jonathan. Jonathan's seems a bit more pure, like Clark was as a teenager. So it could be that it is Jordan that's going to go down this climactic, tragic path of being in the dark side and having the powers. And Jordan's the pure one who's going to try and pull him back, like the Clark and Lex thing in Smallville. It's very, very interesting. Will we meet Pete Ross? There's lots of elements here. So I think this is where they're going with it, and I think it's very, very interesting. It's a very, very cleverly written show and a beautifully shot show, and I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with it. Yes, we have some casting news for you. DCEU casting news for Shazam 2 Fury of the Gods. Shazam 2 cast Rachel Zegler in Mystery Fury of the Gods role. West Side Story star Rachel Zegler joins the cast of Shazam Fury of the Gods in a mystery key role opposite Zachary Levi's DC superhero by Cooper Hood of Screen Rant. Rachel Zegler joins the cast of Shazam Fury of the Gods in a mystery role. Warner Brothers and DC Films spent years developing Shazam before it finally hit theatres in 2019. The movie came together a few years prior, once David F. Sandberg was hired to direct the film. Despite his background in horror, Shazam proved to be the most light-hearted DC movie to date. The movie was a big hit with critics and general audiences, and it made $366 million worldwide on a $100 million budget, which basically is very successful. The success of Shazam quickly generated discussions about making Shazam 2. The sequel will see Sandberg return to direct, and it will once again star Asher Angel and Zachary Levi as the two halves of Billy Batson and his superhero Shazam form. Shazam 2 was later confirmed to bring back other members of the Shazam family and might even include Sinbad. It was officially announced in 2020 that the sequel is titled Shazam Fury of the Gods, and now the first major new cast member has been revealed. According to The Wrap, actress Rachel Zegler has been cast in a mystery role for Shazam Fury of the Gods. Her character's identity has yet to be revealed, but Zegler is said to be playing a key character in the sequel. The 19-year-old star is slated to make her acting debut in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story remake, which is scheduled to be released in theatres in late 2021. Zegler confirmed her audition on social media. Yeah, I read this. I am in my key role in Shazam 2 era. So she's going to be filming that very, very soon. That's what she meant. She actually, this wasn't the post I read actually from her. I read another one thanking all the fans for giving all their best wishes. It's great, isn't it, when fans are nice to these people? They do appreciate it. Without any details on who Zegler will play, DC fans will be left to speculate what character from the comics she could be. Plot details for Shazam Fury of the Gods are still being heavily protected, but the title indicates that the gods of the DC Extended Universe will play a role. However, Zegler could be one of Shazam's two main villains, as casting details suggested. A trio of sisters, yeah, this is what I think, being the antagonists. The youngest one is set to be 17 years old, exactly. So that could be the role Zegler will play. Early speculation on the identity of these characters has turned to possibilities like a reimagined The Three Faces of Evil, a three-headed dragon who represents terror, sin, and wickedness, or even the Hecate sisters. The identity of Zegler's Shazam 2 character might not be confirmed so far, but the information could be revealed in due time. Filming is scheduled to begin in a few months, and that could be when Zegler or Sandberg provide a tease. The answer might even come as more new cast members join Shazam! Fury of the Gods, or through set photos. In any case, Zegler is rising quickly in Hollywood, with the lead of Steven Spielberg's movie and a major role in a superhero film starting her career. Yeah, it's great. It really is great. Actually, Humberto Gonzalez talking about representation with this young actress. I don't think representation is very visible here, and I won't say anything else. Steven Spielberg has cast her, and she's a very talented young woman. I'm happy with her casting, but let's not talk about representation because her casting has nothing to do with representation. But it looks like they're doing the three heads of the dragon storyline. I'm very excited for Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and I'm very excited for her casting. First, Ray Fisher had an issue with Warner Brothers Pictures and not Warner Media. In fact, saying that Warner Media were very, very supportive. Now he seems to be upset with Warner Media. Now, I explained to you, not yesterday, but the day before, he came out talking about people of colour's genitalia and how he tried to explain to Jeff Johns that people of colour don't like to see genitalia. They wouldn't want to see Cyborg's genitalia. I don't understand. I don't imagine for a minute Jeff Johns wanted him to physically show his genitalia, right? So I don't really understand what all that's about. I think that Ray's a difficult customer. As I say, his original fight to get justice for Zack was beautiful, but this is something else. So let's go into the article by Rachel Labonte of Screen Rant. Justice League investigation participants call out Warner's poor response. Participants of Warner Media's Justice League investigation, led by Cyborg actor Ray Fisher, call out the studio for its poor response. Participants of Warner Media's Justice League investigation, led by Ray Fisher, call out the studio for its poor response. Fisher played Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, in the DCEU film, which was originally headed up by Zack Snyder. However, following his exit, Joss Whedon was brought on to complete the movie. Last summer, Fisher accused Whedon on social media of abusive on-set behaviour, thus triggering a public battle with Warner Brothers and an internal investigation. Fisher worked to ensure the investigation was led by a third party after he felt WB wasn't taking things seriously. In fact, Fisher has been instrumental in the exposition of what went down on the set of Justice League's reshoots. The actor has repeatedly called out the leadership at DC Films, particularly current president Walter Hamada, for covering up Whedon's crimes and in some cases being equally toxic. Since the investigation began, several people have been confirmed to have participated, including Gal Gadot and Buffy the Vampire Slayer actress Charisma Carpenter, who recently came forward with her own allegations against Whedon in December. It was reported the Justice League investigation had been completed and that remedial action was taken. Listen, this is what I think happened. Basically, Whedon was the only one to be removed and punished and nobody else was. I think this is what they always wanted to do. And despite the evidence they were given, they went, nah, we're just going to punish him. We want to keep on working with the other people. Rightly or wrongly, I think that this is exactly what's happened. However, what that action entailed has never been clear, and now Fisher and fellow participant Nadria Tucker are speaking out. Tucker made headlines in November when she said on social media she was let go from Arrowverse show Superman and Lois after speaking out against racism and sexism. The problem is with Nadia Tucker, she can't really prove the sexism or racism. Basically, she was talking about how people of colour were represented or lack thereof. Not representing people of colour when they're the most represented minority in Hollywood doesn't sound like racism to me. But, people like Nadria and Ray are activists. They're not about getting justice for what happened on the set of Justice League with Whedon because they've got that justice. Whedon has gone. This is about activism. This is about two people of colour trying to get activism for their community. This is the truth, and these are the facts. In a new social media post, she confirmed she gave her receipts to the Justice League investigation and that they have already chosen how to respond. Now I'm responding to their lack of response. Fisher added his comments to her post, writing, "The fact that so many participants of Warner Media's Justice League investigation are having to out themselves in order for abusers of power to be held accountable is disgraceful." And here's the post. This is what Nadria says. HR saw my receipts. The JO investigation saw my receipts. They have already chosen how to respond. Now I'm responding to their lack of response. I owe this health site nothing. So this health site, she's talking about Twitter, but because someone commented on, gave an opinion on what she's doing. Now she calls Twitter a health site, but it's that health site she's decided to talk. And again, not giving any evidence apart from apparently having a conversation with Jeff Johns on what is a black thing and what isn't a black thing. Again, I don't see any racism there. But again, maybe my idea of racism is different to a person of colour, so I've got to be careful what I say here. While Whedon stepped away from a project he had at HBO following Fisher's accusations because he was sacked, the other people Fisher spoke out against remain at DC Films. Warner Brothers has yet to expand on the phrase remedial action, and based on Fisher and Tucker's new comments, it sounds like it hasn't amounted to much. One can assume the action taken has happened internally, as in such a way that wouldn't be made public knowledge. But that still is not enough. Fisher and the other participants in the Justice League investigation simply wish to see people held accountable for their actions, but that so far doesn't appear to be happening. Those like Fisher and Tucker are quite brave for speaking out. But you know what? What was done to Tucker? What was done to Tucker? That's the thing. I don't see her point. She wanted more people of colour and more representation in Superman and Lois. It's hardly a smoking gun. That's not racism. It's up to them who they put in their own show. It's not up to you. You were removed because you were causing too much trouble in the writer's room and not offering anything decent creatively. I know that much. So really, she really hasn't got a smoking gun and not much to show. The receipts she's showing, if she's got receipts, she said she gave her receipts to the Justice League investigation or the investigation against Jeff Johns. So, if they're so big, these receipts, where are they? If the investigation hasn't held to account people like Jeff Johns, why don't they publicly say what happened, her and Ray? Because guess what? There's no NDAs anymore. There's no non-disclosure agreements anymore. So why don't they come out and speak? That's what interests me the most. Those like Fisher and Tucker are quite brave for speaking out, and hopefully they will one day see the results they want. Stories of toxic workplaces and abuses of power are sadly all too common in Hollywood, and it's only through those willing to stand up against it that things will improve. Fisher put a lot at stake when he spoke about Justice League, and he deserves to see positive change come of it. He's not going to get the positive change he wants. I'm sorry about that. And shall I tell you why? Anne Sarnoff, after the investigation, said herself, it's time to move on. He and his friend Nadria are going to talk and talk and talk, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing will happen because Warner Media is a company run by AT&T, and they've decided, here's your investigation, pal. That's the end of it. We sacked Joss Whedon. This is all we're willing to do, right? And their side of it is quite simple. Nothing else that serious happened for us to sack these people. You may not like Jeff Johns' behaviour. You may not like the way he drove Zack out off the Justice League production and how the studio and Sujihara did that. But it's hardly a crime. They want to move on. Now, he's going to keep on kind of releasing these things that, to me, don't seem that big a deal. And maybe to other people, especially people of colour, they are a big deal. So if you think they're something that's a big deal that I don't, I apologise. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone here. I'm giving you my opinion. This is my channel. This is my video. This is the DCEU Daily after all. And I'm giving my thoughts to it. And I don't care. I simply don't care. Glad the investigation happened. Glad Whedon got his comeuppance and said he's been destroyed by people from Buffy and Angel. That's great. But apart from the rest of it, I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. I love my TV dramas. I love my writing. I love watching my movies. I'm a DC fanboy, looking forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League, Snyder Cut, and all the other DC things that are going to be released. Ray has decided to become an activist instead of an actor. Congratulations, friend. That's great. But I don't care about your fight. I'm sorry, because really, Ray, and really, Nadra, you're just interested in fighting for your own community. You're not interested in my community, the Greek Cypriot community, the Anglo-Greek Cypriot community, because I'm English. I'm English Greek Cypriot, basically, because bred in the UK, but my DNA is Greek Cypriot. You don't care about our community. You don't care about representation for us or what we've gone through. I'm one of the few people that's ever kind of been miniaturely successful in the industry and not in a big way. But you don't care about other communities. You only care about your own. So I don't care about your fight. I'm glad you got your justice, but you're an activist, Ray, and all you care about is going on and on and on about this. And I'm bored now. And all I care about, basically, is the DC live-action universe. So my prediction is Warner Media have moved on. Ray Fisher won't. It's going to be more and more noise. There'll be Twitter space for it. There'll be article space, like articles like this. But nothing else is going to happen. And this is all kicked off, basically, because people reported to him that Jeff Johns appeared in a Superman and Lois making-of video, basically. This is how all this is kicked off. And this is why he's frustrated. So he's obviously rung Nadra up and said, oh, make some noise again, and I'll make some noise, and let's see what happens. Nothing. Nothing's going to happen, because the stuff that you've released isn't a situation, why someone should be sacked. I even believe that Gina Carano shouldn't be sacked. I believe that Gina Carano was ill-conceived to do what she was doing on Twitter, but ultimately she was only giving her political opinion. I don't agree with her political opinion. She's clearly a Trump supporter. She's clearly on the right side of the argument, and now they're trying to cancel Henry Cavill because he used to date Gina. But Gina shouldn't have got the sack for her political beliefs, and the reason she got sacked was that moment where she spoke about the Second World War and what happened to the Jewish community and how they were targeted by their neighbours for being Jewish. And what she said was, is it any different to people being targeted for their political beliefs? She gave a comparison. It wasn't a great comparison. It was a stupid comparison to make, seeing who runs Hollywood, basically. It wouldn't be something that I would come out and say if I was doing well on a Star Wars TV show and was about to get my own Star Wars TV show. But she's very political and she's obsessed with talking politics. And this is where she is now. But I don't believe she should get the sack. And I actually believe if she actually sued them for wrongful dismissal, she would win. And I actually also think that she's not gone yet. I actually think she could still be in the next season of The Mandalorian, because I think Jon Favreau is going to go into bat for her. And finally today, some positive Wonder Woman live action news to leave you with. Wonder Woman spinoff is a prequel and a sequel to original movie. Wow, yeah. I'm not surprised they don't want to go anywhere near Wonder Woman 84, surprise, surprise. This is by Daniel Gillespie of Screen Rant. The Wonder Woman spin-off focused on the Amazons of Themyscira is both a prequel and a sequel to the original movie, according to star Connie Nielsen. I'm looking forward to this project. According to star Connie Nielsen, the Wonder Woman spin-off focused on the Amazons of Themyscira is both a prequel and a sequel to the original movie. Nielsen plays Queen Hippolyta, leader of the Amazons and mother of Princess Diana Gal Gadot. She's appeared in 3 DC movies, reprising her role from the 2017 hit in both Justice League and Wonder Woman 1984. She's also expected to appear in a possible Wonder Woman Amazon spin-off, which was first floated as an idea by director Patty Jenkins in late 2019. Jenkins confirmed that while the project isn't in production, the plan is to get it greenlit and shooting with another director at the helm before Wonder Woman 3 happens. Jenkins also confirmed that she and Wonder Woman 1984 co-writer Jeff Johns have worked on a story, confirming that it would take place between Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984. Now, Nielsen has broadened that timeline. And there goes Jeff Johns' name again. Doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And this is what's really annoying and frustrating Ray Fisher and his supporters. Speaking to Cinema Blend, the Danish actress says that the Wonder Woman spin-off will occur after the events of the original movie. And before the events of that film, the news significantly broadens the story's scope and opens up all sorts of possibilities, including the potential for Robin Wright and Antiope and Gadda's Diner to appear. Yeah, I want to see Robin Wright again. She's brilliant in that role. Nielsen also teases that it could include an origin, though it's unclear if she's referring to her character, the Amazons in general, or something else entirely. You can read her full comments below. Do you know what? There's so much potential with doing a Themyscira Amazon origin story of how that island was formed, how they got there, the whole thing. Just brilliant. You know the history lesson she tells Dinah in the first movie? If we actually saw that in this spin-off, that would be so awesome. Well, I can tell you that it's not just after what happens in Wonder Woman. There's also some other stuff in there which is related to a prior time as well. There is a lot of different sort of things that you can see where the story is a little bit origin-minded, but there are also other times involved. So yes, exciting to show you guys. So the way Nielsen's speaking, this has already been greenlit. This is already happening, and I can't wait. Will this be a cinematic movie, or will this be a series on HBO Max? I don't know. According to Patty, this will go straight to theatres, but I'm excited about this project. Again, DC live action going from strength to strength under Walter Hamada's leadership. This is what we want. And Flashpoint is that moment where you're going to see this is Walter Hamada's vision. And I'm excited about that. You know, I know some of you are not happy with him. You're taking Ray Fisher's side, that's great. But ultimately, my focus is always on DC and enjoying these movies and TV shows. That's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to that. If what Nielsen is saying is accurate, it means the spin-off could feature Gadda and characters who died in Wonder Woman. For Gadda, it's further proof that she made the right decision to audition for the role after revealing she was ready to quit acting, before being cast as Wonder Woman. Much like Wonder Woman 1984, the expectation is that the prequel scenes could be a flashback, which could mean it's just a short scene, but Nielsen makes it sound like it could be more significant. Besides the appearance of iconic characters, this also provides the chance to explore the history of Themyscira and how Amazons came to be, perhaps digging very deep into the history of the island warriors. Is it possible, from what Connie is saying, that we could get kind of the same concept we had on the Lost TV show, where we're in present-day Themyscira, but they keep on flashing back to the past? That would be a very interesting concept. I love what they did with Lost, one of my favourite shows. We'll be rewatching it in the next week or so, because I'm just about to finish Alias, which is also, excuse me, just joking and dying here, don't worry about me. Yeah, so I'm rewatching Alias. See, for me, the J.J. Abrams television universe, you know, Alias, Lost and Fringe, are kind of a multiverse story. Nothing to do with DC, of course, but I think your Alias, Lost and Fringe, and I think they're all part of the same universe, but it's a multiverse universe. And I thought those shows were just amazing. I might do a video about them in the future. But yes, very excited about the Amazonian spin-off. It's going to be so cool. So now I'm going for today. I'm going to cough my guts out. When you see me tomorrow, hopefully my throat's clear and everything will be okay. But if we never see each other again, this has been great. Comment down below. Maybe you might want to put RIP me, you know, remember me. Don't forget. And thank you for your support. If I do die of my throat giving out or something. No, seriously, I will be back tomorrow. Do follow me on Twitter. I'm always on there having a bit of a giggle and a laugh and retweeting all the big news. So comment down below, like, share and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.